Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week we are going over the recently translated Tate Roll one-shot from Jump Plus, which made waves last year in Japan. We're also going to cover Chapter 1 of the brand new weekly Shonen Jump series called Shinobi Undercover, and we will finish up with the last chapter of the interesting horror Jump Plus series Shibatarian. All that manga news and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. This week I am joined again by my constant co-host Gautam.
Hello, hello.
A special shout out and thanks to our Patreon subscribers, Yaji Black. If you want to have your name read at the top of the episode, see some bonus content, you can check out patreon.com/WGB Manga. It's only $3 and there's a free version always, I believe. So check that out. All right, let's start out with this interesting little one-shot that got kind of release dropped, fan translated today. This is a one-shot called Tate Roll. This is by an author, Natsuki Osonoe. Their history is essentially two one-shots. This one, which made a lot of waves in Japan, as I mentioned, and another one, which I did not recognize and I had not heard anything about. So the name Tate Roll is a name for this kind of spiral, kind of twin tail hairstyle that you see on her in this picture, and you see pretty often in sort of kind of like upper class lady types.
Yeah,
which is pretty common.
The Ojo-sama, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Ojo-sama types. As soon as this came out in Japan, I remember hearing about this on Twitter when it came out, of people being like, "Whoa, this one shot is great. Everyone's talking about it." This is a rumor I heard. I don't have any way to substantiate this claim, but people are claiming that like as soon as this came out and made waves, it basically immediately got offered a serialization spot in Weekly Shonen Jump. So, or maybe just on Jump Plus. But I said,
what did you think?
I like this. This is the kind of thing that I think is really, as a one shot, I thought that it was effective. It's the kind of thing that I think if you give to even a half decent editor to be able to punch up certain angles and moments, I think this would be really spectacular, because I think this really nailed a lot of core things. I think it has great character design. I think its lead character is good. I think it has awesome action. I think the paneling in this is exceptional. And those are a lot of things that people get really wrong. I think the only thing that it was missing for me really was more compelling side characters, but for a one shot, I don't think that's necessarily super important. If this went to serialization, I think that would be a necessity. So, Gautam, how did you feel about it?
I think that was maybe the stupidest thing I've ever read, and it was hilarious. And I use stupid endearingly because it was like, have you seen Bobo?
You've told me about it, but I don't think I've seen or read it, no.
Yeah, it's this like shitposty, like early 2000s anime where this dude uses his nose hair to fight people.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. It is a complete shitpost. It's hilarious. It's dumb. And she uses her spiral hair to fight people. And it's like, it gives me such a similar vibe with how the humor is. It's just so goofy.
It's funny because it takes itself seriously, which I think is a good humor.
Like, kinda, right? The main character takes herself seriously.
Exactly, yeah.
And I like the contrast to how the story itself doesn't take itself seriously, but the main character within the context of the story does. So it's like, it works. It just works when it's just insane and stupid at the same time. I liked a lot about it. I don't know how you keep this going. I think the author has to be genuinely funny. And I guess this is like the make or break where we see if it has legs. The author still keeps having ideas that are off the wall like this.
Yeah, well, and that's why I said I think that if you get a talented editor on this or someone to sort of like help punch it up for serialization and help it along, I think it would be great. Like, I think if you give this to, who's the guy who did, the editor who did Shihei Lin, the guy who did Spy Family and Dan to Dan and Chainsaw Man, like that man has a magic touch, and I think everything he does would be amazing. And I think having him as an editor on something like Tate Roll would make it really, really good. So
Yeah, and I hope this one. I think Kindergarten Wars benefited from going a bit more serious and going like 60% comedy, 40% drama, whatever you want to call it. This one I hope is like it stays 90% comedy, like
more lighthearted. Like you don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to take this one too seriously if it continues. But
its premise is so inherently goofy that. And the first chapter was so fucking goofy that I hope it stays this way because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk about this one shot a little bit because it's been a while since we've done that. So we're basically introduced to like a situation where mob clans have been taken down, and there's kind of some mob guys and they're talking about it. They're like, "This is the Yahaba Kumecho clan leader." Talking here, and they're like, there's something's happened to these guys. She calls herself TATE ROLL. She seems to be working alone. And we're sort of introduced to her. Her name is Reijo Katakuri, daughter of the Karakura family. She has lots of butlers, which I thought was a good gag. We're sort of introduced to like you see them and then you don't realize until later on. It's like, oh, there's like 400 of these butlers.
Yeah, there's like a billion butlers that all look similar.
I like how she calls him at the end.
Yeah, so there's chair guy, tea guy, massage guy. She doesn't know any of the butlers' names. They're just the guys that do the specific jobs for her. Kind of a sweet gig, huh? Just being chair guy. I think it's like a pretty easy job. You just pull up a chair.
Well, unless you are what she is sitting on as being the chair.
That's true.
There's a name for that I can't remember of, but yeah.
The human chair.
Yeah. So she kind of goes out. There's a funny panel that I forgot to grab here. But there's a funny part where they're like, "Oh, I have good news and bad news," and they're like, "Oh, what's the bad news?" And the bad news is like the plant you've been watering it was a fake plant, and it's like, what's the good news? Like the good news is there's more mobsters in town for you to fight.
Yeah,
which I thought
that is a good gag.
Yeah, and there's a callback to that at the end that I think is good. But she goes out and like confronts these guys. Here's where the action and paneling stuff really kicks in that I thought this was really, really good at doing the action stuff. I love the like hint here where she's like prepping her hair, like wrapping around her arm in order to give this big like this is a super cool series of panels here. Yeah. She just
I also love the gag right before this where she bumps into the mobster guy. And he's instantly, he doesn't like without a beat. He's just like, you broke all the bones in my body.
You broke 5 of my ribs. What
right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to call your parents right now and ask them to give you money. It's like he just goes right into it. No prelude or anything. It's great.
Yeah.
And the drill punch is awesome. It looks great.
Yeah, it looks super good. I mean, again, just like the paneling and the angle of this is, I don't know, it's super inventive. It's super cool. And that sort of continues. She does some more fighting here. She uses her hair to sort of block bullets. And then we get, the translator on this was funny. I liked it. Yeah. Cause she says like, these aren't just any tate rolls. They're devastate rolls. And the editor's note is, I know it's pronounced tate, but puns are hard, y'all. So, and I was like, that's fine. I appreciate that.
No, that was a good pun.
Yeah. She's also just, I mean, like the pose here, I like is a very dynamic pose. She goes across the panels. It's like really good. Visually reading this is super easy and really good. And I liked it a lot. So, she then I think goes to confront like the boss who had moved in. That was like one of the underlings she was fighting. And he's like a total shithead. He's like, let's have a fair fight. He like pulls out a sword or something. He's like has a grenade going behind his back.
And she brought her posse of butlers to this battle. They're just holding up a banner that says, "Work hard, young lady. You look great.
You look great today," or something.
Just affirmations.
It's great. Yeah. But she ends up like, I think I have it. Yeah. She ends up like blocking it with like encircling herself with her hair, which is this quartate roll, which like, this is, I don't know. I didn't know this word. I learned a new word today. Quartate means to form a hard shell. Again, I'm sorry. Puns are hard.
So it's like a turtle.
Yeah. I like that he's just like, what's with the hair? So we get like a little bit of a backstory here. This is where I thought the paneling was really good. Like this stuff where it's kind of like her hair doing attacks, like breaking up the panels, is while we get the flashbacks are really good. And just I
legit didn't notice that. That's sick. Okay.
Yeah, basically it's like her dad gave her a pill and it made her hair strong. Like that's it. That's the backstory.
Yeah.
But the kind of more important part, which again, this is why I thought that it was, I thought that the main character was like really good, was that we do have this sort of backstory, Robin Hood-esque thing where it's like, you know, she was above other people because she's, you know, the rich Ojo-sama or whatever, but she like went out and talked to people, and which is why she like changed her philosophy and instead was like, what does it say? It's like, to show class, one must be able to protect the people. Which is like that. Yeah, that works. Like, why, you know, we're in a situation now where, you know, the truly rich and the poor do not get along. And so I think this is kind of a, like, more of a reverse, not, I don't know, reverse Robin Hood with an asterisk.
Yeah. I
Taking from the rich
guess,
to protect the poor, attacking the rich to save the poor. Kind of the same idea.
Yeah. Close enough. And you know what?
Yeah.
We're playing it so fast and loose that I appreciate that this was done in like her hair battle panels.
Yeah, and in like 2 pages, right? Which is like, we're not. This doesn't super matter, but here it is.
This isn't high art. Let's just get through her motivation so we can go back to the fight, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
I really dig changing her hairstyle. Like, this is, I think, like an artistic flex of being like, oh yeah, I can draw her with her hair in a bun, and it, you know, it works too. The fight. Yeah, basically the fight continues. She makes it through, and then we get this awesome panel where she kind of takes the big bad guy down with a big attack. Basically saying like, it's, you know, it's a noble's obligation to protect the people or whatever. And yeah, we have all our butlers here, like, keep up the good work, young lady. This again is just like, this as an action like spread panel is like super excellent. Like, this is hitting all the right beats for me. Like the flow from top right to bottom left in like the manga thing is perfectly there. The way the room is drawn, the I guess it's hiragana on the ceiling, katakana, I don't remember. The letters on the ceiling, Japanese letters on the ceiling, her hand. It's like, it's great. Like, this is a super good action panel. I like it a lot.
It looks really good. Yeah. For such a shit post, it just looks phenomenal.
Yeah. And it isn't even necessarily like the most detailed art in the world. Like, this is sort of like Jump Plus levels art, I would kind of say, but I still think it looks really good just because it's like, it's dynamic. It's dynamic, and that's a difficult thing to do a lot of times. Yeah, we get
maybe my favorite part.
Yeah, I like this part. I really like this page showing her like moving forward with like her feet across the pages. Like, again, this is really good paneling. Like, this is, I'm not gonna undercut this with how much of a shitpost the story and everything was, but like the paneling here is really outstanding. Great. Yeah, see, it's like you see a lot of bad guys apologize to the people they've hurt and still die with regrets. He's like, I have no regrets. Nothing important's happened to me. I had a pretty sucky life. And she like hits him and he's like, help me, Ojo-sama. And then she hits him and he's like, medical treatment now. And all the butlers come and pick him up. And it turns out
it's a panel though. Like, when she punches him, she punches like the youth out of him and like transforms him into a butler.
Oh, for some reason I didn't even pick up on that, but you're totally right. He's like not that old here. And then he transforms into an old guy. Yeah.
Yeah. They should, there's like a page where you see the youth leaving him and his hair goes from black to white. And he turns into it, like she punches the Yakuza out of him and butlerifies him.
Yeah.
It's like what?
Yeah, which is funny because the end of the chapter here, he wakes up in her infirmary and she's basically like, okay, you work for me now, you're a butler, we'll figure out what you're good at and we'll make you do that. And the guy that she knocks out is basically like, wait, I recognize you guys. Like, aren't you the leader of the Takego clan? Like, aren't you the 3 leaders? Like, the leaders that we got in the very like first page, like these 3 leaders who you're like, oh yeah, she took down all these leaders. Those are the guys who show up at the end of this chapter here. And it's like, yeah, so
one of them is the massage guy. Yeah.
Yeah. This is another this is maybe my favorite, like, funniest part. Where they're like, nice job, this tea is much better. It's like that's the 10,000 Slayer Narasawa or whatever. It's like the guy who made the tea. Yeah, all the other guys are like, oh my gosh, that's a Yakuza boss, and he makes good tea.
I think her real power is punching the youth out of people. Like,
potentially, yeah.
Not even her hair. She like ageified that guy, and like it was like a butler beam. You know, it's like a magical girl transformation, except for butlers.
Yeah. But that's basically the end of the chapter here. But we get this good callback again here of this, like, I have some good news and some bad news. She's like, good news first. It's like, another criminal's come to town. It's like, okay, and the bad? It's like, I'm sorry, your mother who you were speaking to is no longer with us. She's like, I know. Because she was like talking to this painting behind her. It was like, mother, am I doing the right thing? Whatever. I thought that was a funny callback.
Yeah, honestly, it was tight comedy and it went really fast.
Yeah.
And I think like some of these jokes are like, I think the pace in which the plot moved is like one of the jokes. Like that Yakuza guy instantly freaking out the moment she bumped into him.
Yeah, it moved fast for sure. But like not in a, this is too fast, like in a, this moves and it's good.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it keeps up the pace. It was very funny.
Yeah, really good. So yeah, I mean, I'm high on Tate Roll. If we get a serialization of this, I think it will be popular and work, hopefully. Because yeah, I mean, we have not been talking too many one shots this year. There just haven't been as many that I thought were really worth bringing, and there just haven't been as many. There used to be more, lots and lots of years ago. But this one I thought was
the
worth.
Pandemic, right?
Yeah,
maybe after, I don't know. You're right. There was a period there was like a ton of one shots.
I think the pandemic, probably a lot of people stuck at home reading translating more one shots, but yeah, so I mean, I thought this one was good. I mean, anything else on Tate Roll, Gautam?
Nah, that was fun.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Cool. Let's talk about the new Weekly Shonen Jump series. This is called Shinobi Undercover, story by Ippon Takegushi and art by Santa Mitarashi. Interesting to note again that this is a dual author artist combo. The one last week also was an author artist combo. We have more and more of those in Weekly Shonen Jump. I think that's interesting. My brief thoughts on this was that I pinged Gautam earlier in the day to talk about what we were going to talk about on the pod, and I could not remember the name or the content of this series. That is kind of how I feel about it.
It was okay. It was fine. I don't know. I think it's too similar to Haneko Bodyguard, but
and it's too similar to is it Kill Blue? Yeah, Kill Blue, which is like a highly skilled guy in a high school, like protecting and doing things, which I also thought was pretty boring. I read like 6 chapters of that and I dropped it. So
I like the MC. I like that his social anxiety was a part of his character.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think that any of the other characters, including the female lead, did anything worth note.
She almost worked for me. Let's run through it real quick, just because it's not. Yeah. We don't have too much to say of it, but yeah, basically, it's ninjas are real. They do stuff. But someday we will talk about why anytime there's like a hidden black organization or some secret group of anything in Japan, they are called public safety, which is like such a weird. Maybe it's just a translation thing. I don't know, but it's like. Public safety is the name of the devil people in the Devil Hunters and Chainsaw Man. The Ninja Public Safety Force is the name of the group in this series. And I've definitely seen public safety occur. Like that's often a name of like secret organizations, protectors, stuff like that.
It's a good strat, dude. Like if you call your like mafia organization the police, like who's gonna arrest you? Huh?
I guess,
like,
yeah. So we figure out he's highly skilled. He has a code name, the Nightjar, which that's a type of bird, I believe. I think everyone's named after birds. All the other ninja here.
It's also a move that you can use in Sekiro.
It is. That's right.
Shadows die twice. Yeah.
Yeah. We have this guy who he saves. Who's like, "Thank you so much," and he just like I see the main character and some of the comedy in this worked. This is not the worst. Chapter 1 I like the main
character. Yeah. He was kind of fun.
Yeah. We get this. I think this is a funny gag where he like immediately just like ninja swaps away with like a painting or whatever. And the guy's just like, huh? Yeah. And he's like, why'd you do that? He's like, spend 5 minutes with a man I don't even know. It's like, it's too awkward. I couldn't stand it. It's like, this young man is hopeless when it comes to human interaction.
I think that's actually like a pretty good fatal flaw for a ninja.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And you're right. He was pretty funny. It's just like everything around him, you're right. Everything around him didn't work as much, but he was kind of compelling. So who knows? He's basically assigned this mission of like, you're going to enlist in high school and you are here to protect a high value target. It's, some rich girl, that's a theme today. He's like, but I'm awful at talking to girls. He's always talking on his headset to like a handler of some kind, who we don't really meet, but is essentially a narrator, like just tells us stuff. Again, same complaint over Ichi the Witch last week is that there's a lot of telling and not showing, and this in-ear narrator is just kind of a teller. Also, they have no personality from what I can tell, which kind of is weird that they occupy, like 30% of the dialogue in this chapter 1, and they don't seem to have a personality at all.
Yeah, I guess it's a little odd. I don't know. Would you prefer that this was done in thought bubbles? Because
no, like this is a step. I don't know. If you do it with thought bubbles, I think you cut out. It's hard to say because a character's self-reflection upon themselves will be different than a outside spectator's describing how they are.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different in that way. Maybe it would be better. Maybe it wouldn't be. I would have preferred if the handler was a real character in chapter 1, and a real supporting character, as in like had an interesting personality, or at least was like someone we met. Now maybe we meet them in chapter 2 or something, right? Like maybe it's just a chapter 1 thing, but they were just kind of a voice, and I don't think I do. Maybe we got a name for them. If we did, I don't remember it. They didn't seem to have any kind of recognizable personality. There's like nothing to latch onto, but their written voice in manga, and that's not a whole lot. So,
I think this is like an attempt at a unique spin on a narrator / replacement for internal monologue for the character.
Yeah.
But for a character that's socially anxious and terrible at talking to people, I do think thought bubbles might have been better.
Well, this is the Metal Gear Solid style, right? Is that
the codec? Yeah,
the codec, right? Snake doesn't monologue to himself very much. He sometimes does, but like he calls people and has 10-minute long conversations in order to like expound the plot. This is like very much in that style. So let's keep going. We meet, here's kind of our rich girl who pulls up. I will say the first impression I had of her, I thought this might have gone in a better direction because I do think... Me
too. This is funny.
Yeah, this first gag is good and really funny. I love that she's like, they're like, take care, watch out. And she's like, haha, don't worry, I'm not a little kid. And she like trips on her ankle, hits her head, trips, and falls down. And I was like, oh, okay. She's going to be like a total klutz and it's going to get her in trouble. And the ninja's going to have to save her from herself. And that's not what happens in the rest of the chapter, which is maybe kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But yeah, she also like, she presents me a big problem. I guess a little bit later in the chapter. We're told, you have to protect her without her knowing that you're protecting her. They were told that like this has been happening all her life. People have been protecting her without her knowing. We're introduced to like the other two kind of side character ninjas, I guess, that we're going to getting. Hibari the Skylark, that's another bird, and Ubineko the Gull, who they're like setting up to be her best friend and boyfriend, which is interesting. The main character is just supposed to be the guy in the background. Obviously, if this continued to completion, that is not how this would go, I would assume. But yeah, they need full control over her life. One of the things that they point out, I don't remember if it's here or a little bit later. Here it is. They're like, public safety ninja have been watching her since she was young. She might have noticed how artificial the normal life they fabricated for her is. This is where I start kind of disconnecting from this girl, because if she's a complete klutz and doesn't realize and is totally oblivious to the world around her, and that leads to her to be like hurt herself and have accidents and stuff and be really awkward, that's a good character. That's not a character that's going to realize she has been protected all her life immediately, or at least not in a chapter 1, right? So it's a weird kind of opposite character thing here, where it's like she's clumsy, but she's smart enough to be figuring out that she's been watched all her life by ninjas, maybe, or we think she is. And then
I think the implication here is that it took her this long because she isn't observant.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. That's something that I think is not something you start the series with. Like, that's a couple chapters in, you go, oh, she's realizing it now. That's her development. But yeah, so I don't know. It feels weird to me. That feels like it would be more organic to introduce later in the series. Like the idea that she's catching on now. I think having like the main character, you have to protect her. She's clumsy and she's catching on, instead of just like, you're doing the same job that other people have done, but you have to do it in high school now. And then later on, introduce the idea that she's catching on. That seems like more of a later development thing, that they're like immediately like telling us in chapter 1. Like, we don't actually see her catching on. They just tell us that, which again,
it's a
big complaint,
weird.
like telling and not showing.
The only interesting thing about her is that she's like, yeah, my life is a bit too perfect, huh? Ever coincidence? And that and her klutziness, but I don't think that makes her too interesting.
Yeah.
Unlike Honeko's bodyguard, which I thought the female lead was.
Yeah. Honeko's bodyguard wins by having like an amazing MC, and the female, Akebane Honeko, the girl that's being protected in that series, also is like has a personality and like gets up in his face. It's like, you can't do that. Like, leave those people alone or whatever. Like, she immediately has a lot of proactivity in that series, which I like a lot. This girl, not as much. She trips twice and like befriends the main character, and that's kind of it. Like, I don't know. But yeah, we get they kind of run to this teacher and they're like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in the opening ceremony. And then he stabs the main character with a syringe, and he's like, ouch, like, you stabbed me. I'm a ninja and I'm immune to poison, which is a classic thing that they bring up. I did like this part a lot. I thought that, honestly, like, the action stuff in this was pretty good. There wasn't a whole lot of it, but I think these are like pretty well drawn panels and pretty well sort of structured and drawn. I like this where he's like imagining cutting his head off, because they show me this panel and I was like, holy shit, they're going for it. Like, this guy just cut that teacher's head off in the hallway. That's awesome. Where are they going to go from this? And then it's like, nope, it was imagination, which is like, oh, okay. Like, another bait that kind of like, I think it would have been cool if he just like was a ninja and cut the man's head off at the school and then had to deal with that. Like, that's an interesting complication to me. Him imagining it and just dealing with him. He deals with him a little later, in whatever kind of way. Like, that's less severe.
To, like,
it's like, okay,
and, like, hide a body in 10
that's
seconds
not as interesting
before she turned around. But all right, yeah, that works. I still like the panels. I thought his crazy face was cool.
Yeah.
His psycho killer face.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is not the worst chapter one I've ever seen. There's some good stuff in here. The action stuff is good. I don't know. It just didn't, nothing is interesting enough for me to really grab onto and be like, oh yeah, this part was really exceptional. It was like, the main character's good, not great, I would say, but good. And then the side characters are kind of whatever. The female MC, I have, various weird character things with her. Like, I don't know. She's a big problem, I think, unless it changes going forward, because what she does in chapter one is she is introduced and we think, oh my gosh, she's such a klutz. She's going to be, like an airhead klutz. He's going to have to protect her from herself. He does not have to protect her from herself anymore in chapter one. She trips into a trash can once and it's like not an issue. Like, there's no like real saving to be done until they like run into the guy. And even then, I don't know. It just kind of was like very safe and boring, in my opinion.
I agree. I think what the author's intention with the female lead, is that she knows more than she lets on.
Yeah.
And two is like the main character she befriends him even though he's supposed to be a background operator. Because he is so socially inept, he doesn't know how to follow a script, right? And he's acting out of place as opposed to the rest of the people in her manufactured life. Which makes him inherently interesting to her.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, yeah.
I think they were going for all of that. I think they're interesting plot beats, but it wasn't conveyed on the page.
Yeah,
in chapter one super well.
Yeah, execution is really everything. Ideas are cheap, right? And the truth be told, the ideas in this are fine. Like, they're, again, we were kind of mentioning, this is essentially two series that are already out and, decently popular. Kill Blue and Akebane Honeko's Bodyguard. Both of which are, like I said, decently popular, pretty well known. It's those two ideas mashed together, and it's not as good as either of them. Like, I think Kill Blue chapter one was better than this, and I wasn't super high on that one. So yeah, the ideas are cheap because they're not that, not really original, and the execution of it was fine, but not good enough, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I would agree with you on all fronts there. But hey, you know what? I think the ideas are solid enough, and I think the main character is interesting that I could see this kind of turning itself around and being like a good manga. I'll wait to hear back on popular consensus before I commit time to more chapters, though.
Yeah, I'm always there, at least for chapter 2, chapter 3, just to, chapter 1 is its own thing, and then where does it go from here? How does it continue? Because this really just kind of set up the plot. So chapter 2, 3 should give us kind of like, here's what it's going to be. So
yeah,
we'll see. It's not. I guess the thing for me is that it isn't awful, but like I don't remember if I've mentioned this on the pod before. I think I have. There's like a minimum viable product is like an idea in, I guess, like marketing, where it's like you can, take Oreos out of the Oreo pack and people will still buy it until a certain amount. It drops below a level called like the minimum viable product, where people will stop buying your product and stop paying money for it. And in this case, it's like there is sort of a minimum viable manga quality product, and if you are below that, it's not worth my time to read. And you can be, something like what's a good example here?
What do you think?
I'm trying to think of something that's like just above the minimum viable product that is like, it's fine, and I kept reading it. It isn't like great, like, what's the sword thing? Kagurabachi.
Komi-san.
Komi-san for years was kind of like this, where it's like, yeah, it's good enough. I can keep reading it. Kagurabachi, I'd kind of say it's like, it's improved, I think, over time, but the first, 10 chapters of it were like, this is above my minimum viable product level. It's good enough for me to keep reading it, and I did, and it's gotten better since then. This is the one that I think comes in like just behind my minimum viable kind of product score, where it's like, this is just not good enough for me to really want to keep reading from chapter 1. So
I think the problem is that it's like, it's really not bad. It's just that there's too much good shit out there to compete for attention. You know?
Well, and then and we've talked about that. The fact that there are so many other things fighting for attention means that my minimum viable product is much higher than, and I think everyone's is much higher than it used to be.
I liked it twice as much as Hima-ten, though.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I thought Hima-ten was inferior to this by like a decent amount.
Interesting. I think Hima-ten was very slightly better than this, but only in the sense that Hima-ten had a classic feel to it, where I was reading this and I was like, yes, I am familiar with this, and it is feeding me the meal I have had before, and I am familiar with that meal, and I kind of enjoyed Nisekoi, so I'll eat it again.
I guess it's whether you enjoy that meal or not. I thought it was just like, I've read this before and I didn't like it the first time kind of a feel.
Yeah, okay,
so,
that makes sense. Yeah. If we both eat the same meal and I go, yeah, I like that, and you go, I didn't like that, and they try to feed it to us again, we're going to have different reactions to that. So, and I did. I enjoyed Nisekoi for what it was. I was not a weekly reader of that. I understand maybe going on for 7 years and then, ending like that maybe got on people's nerves. That is a minor spoilers for that series. That is a series that ends with the confession on the last chapter and then hard stops after, I think, 356 chapters or something like that. A lot of chapters. So, and the best girl loses and all that jazz. So.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Classic.
Cool. Anything else on Shinobi Undercover here, Gautam?
Nope. It was all right. Hopefully it gets better.
Yep. I'll check out. I'm definitely always down to check out chapter 2, chapter 3, just see how it goes. All right. Let's talk about a series that just ended in Jump Plus. This is Shibatarian by Katsuya Iwamuro. I brought this, I think, a couple of months ago. I don't remember how I communicated it. I think I probably said it's just a weird series.
I remember I haven't read this, by the way. I remember last time you mentioned that it had a really strong start, and now it's just weird.
Yes, and that is it. Okay. Speaking of one-shots like we did earlier, the first chapter of Shibatarian is one of the best horror one-shots I've read in years. Like, I legitimately think, I'll lead with this. Don't read 36 chapters of Shibatarian, read one chapter of Shibatarian. Because the first chapter fucking rocks. It's weird. It has that Japanese horror vibes to it. It's interesting. It ends in a really kind of stunning way. I think the chapter 1 of Shibatarian is excellent. Like, a super good chapter. A really good one-shot if you just read chapter 1. After that, it's weird. Like, I don't even want to ascribe this is good or bad, because for some reason I kept reading it and I get to the end now and I'm thinking, like, I think that series was kind of bad. Why did I read this for almost a year? But it's just weird. I don't know. I was curious to what it was going to do, and it just kept doing weird stuff, and none of it was very good, for being honest.
So despite not reading it, I've heard the public consensus on this, and I need you to address the allegations. No allegations, really. Just address the public opinion.
The claims.
I hear it had a really strong start, and then it muddled around a lot in the middle, and it had a apparently strong and heartwarming ending. Now, address these claims, Bruce.
But the heartwarming ending is the fucking weird part, dude. Like, this is a horror, like, okay, that's the weirdest thing, right? Is chapter 1 is a horror manga, right? It is just, this weird, like, body possession kind of body horror type thing, horror manga. And then after that, it becomes this, like, weird B-movie action thing where, like, the army is called in and they're fighting, and Shibata is spreading through, like, becoming cherry trees, but he's weak to salt water. It, like, becomes this weird mix of, like, all these cheap it's weird as fuck, man. And then you get to the end. Let's, like, go through the last chapter, and I'll show you why it's so weird the way it ends. Like,
was this thing, like, the cherry tree saltwater, was that a joke?
No.
Like a gag?
He spreads through, like, he's
no, I mean, like, it's supposed to be funny.
It's so hard to explain it. Like, okay, spoilers for Shibatarian. The Shibatarian is, like, or Shibata is, like, buried beneath a cherry tree or some kind of tree. I think it's a cherry tree. And that somehow makes him able to, like, spread his body between other people by, like, feeding them. I think, like, the petals from the tree. I don't even remember exactly. It was too weird. And then, he is like, salt water kills him. Like, that's because it's like it's like a weird B-movie thing the whole rest of the time.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. Let's go through this last chapter. I'll show you why a chapter 1 with a horror start and then 34 chapters of weird B-movie kind of action horror leads to this, which is like, you get a flashback. This is the main character, and Shibata, this Sato is the main character's name. And they're, like, talking back then. They're like, oh, they, like, wrote a movie together. It was just, like, this weird kind of background thing that's going on the whole time. And they're like, we haven't thought of a title. It's like, sure, the title's got to be this. And it's like, that's our title. Isn't that a spoiler? Like, it's fine because this is what we wanted to make. And we get, like, we flash forward to today, this is the MC who was fighting against the Shibatas and stuff. And he, like, has a kid. He's, like, talking about scripts and movies. And the kid's like, oh, my mom. My mom thought I was watching a movie called Shibatarian. And she said I should never watch it, but I was watching another movie. And he's like, oh, interesting. These are, like, some of the side characters. Okay. This series is so weird. I can't believe I'm about to say what I'm about to say. One of the main side characters in this series is a dog possessed by Shibata, who is, like, the creature thing, right? So it's a dog with the face of a man, with the face of this dude on the top right? It's just a dog with his face. And these side characters apparently, like, raised, like stayed with this dog for 15 years, and then it finally died. And what they're doing is they're going up to where Shibata is, the bad guy of the series who killed, like, thousands of people, if not more, during the middle part of this series. And they're going to bury this dog with Shibata's face where Shibata is buried, where he was, like, defeated 2 or 3 chapters ago or whatever, right? Why are they doing this? This is so fucking weird. It's like, why is it so happy?
Did the Shibas share a consciousness, and was
the
Shiba dog a Shiba Inu?
You could not tell because I don't think we even saw the dog before it had the face of a man on it. So I'm not sure.
So how is the dog a good guy? Like, if they shared a consciousness?
Yeah, that happens a couple times where there'll be, like, a clone that's like, I'm good and I'm on your side instead of on the other side. It has something to do with the people they take over and their, like, willpower and stuff. It happens a couple times with some side characters who are like, I still have my own thoughts. It's again, classic B-movie schlock, right? It's like, why?
Okay,
Who knows?
Fair enough. Don't overthink it, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So he's like the main character's like a movie director talking to this kid. Yeah. He's like, I've been writing this thing. He's like, here, take this notebook and give it a read. Like, read this movie, I said. Here they are. They're like, Gizmo apparently was his name. They, like, bury him with Shibata or whatever, which again is just weird and happy. And they're like, Shibata-kun, please take care of Gizmo. Shibata-kun is a monster like the Thing that takes over people's body. And like I said, killed thousands of people in the series, like in this series. It is very strange how they are like,
so you're saying that so their goodwill towards him is completely unearned because they were never on good terms.
Okay, the series does end in a way where it's sort of like redemption. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, they go back to him, and it isn't so much that they defeat him; it's that they, like, understand him, and that defeats him in a weird kind of like
okay, yeah,
and like anime power of friendship kind of way. So like
its type. It's like, you're just as damaged as us.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, kind essentially. So that, I mean, that tracks with this, but that still doesn't
Okay.
track with the thousands of people that died and the horrible like creatures that were created with Shibata's face on it. This is why this is such a weird fucking series, dude. And why have it has this like happy-go-lucky ending, which is like insane to me, because again, if you read chapter 1 of this series and I was like, that ends with an extremely happy ending, like no subversion, all happy, you would be like, huh, that's interesting, how do they get there? And then I could not describe to you how we fucking get there. Anyways, like the group kind of all reunites here. He's like, there's never anything to worry about because the ending was decided from the start. I don't know what this means. Is this meta commentary in my Shibatarian? I have no fucking clue, dude.
It's the script there, right? This is the movie.
Yes. And are you ready for the name of the fucking script? The name of the script is Happy Ending. This is so fucking weird and lame. I can't even describe it, man. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever read. It's so stupid. Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like,
is that little kid over there Shibata?
No, that's the kid who Sato, the main character, was talking to earlier, and he like gave the script. I was like, here, give this a try, movie buff kid.
Got it.
Yeah.
So in this liminal space where they were creating the movie, what was that? Like the Imaginatorium? Like, is that a real place?
No, that was like a flashback because they like meet in high school. This is why chapter 1 is interesting, because they like meet in high school and then Shibata sort of like stalks him after and is weird, and then like there's multiple of him. Like, go read chapter 1 because I'm serious. Like, chapter 1 is legitimately a really good horror one shot. Like, it really is. I cannot understate how good chapter 1 of this series is, and then it just gets weird after that. But like, no, this is just like a flashback to them because they had mentioned this a couple times in the past, like, oh, we wrote a movie together. We were movie buffs together in high school and stuff. That's kind of like how they met. So,
got it.
I don't know. It's just lame. Like, it's just fucking lame, dude. Like, I don't. If somebody gets it, get in the comments. Like, explain this to me in a way that does not come across as this series just being weird and lame. Like,
hey, okay, I pieced it together. So this is actually a scam by both the MC and Shibata. They intended for all of this to happen, and it's all in the script. And everything that happened, including him killing thousands of people, is all in the script.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing.
Right.
If there was one more page of this manga that like introduced some kind of little horror element, or like, oh, Shibata's not dead, like, that's the kind of thing you get at the end of every horror movie, right? Like,
what you wanted this little boy to turn around and show Shibata's face.
Yes. Oh, that's a great idea. That ending redeems the whole like last chapter, not the whole series, but the whole last chapter is like a little bit better if that's the ending, and it's not, which is like, can you imagine? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's expectations from the horror movies that I've seen, but like, most horror movies, especially ones about like body horror and possession, don't just end with everybody happy. There's always like, oh, we beat it. We think we'd get away. And then there's like a hint of like, no, you didn't. It's still there. Like, which just kind of leaves you open for like I guess the thing about horror is that if you are scared while you're reading it and then you leave it and you're like, oh, I was scared while reading it, but it left me comfortable and it left me feeling refreshed and happy at the end. It's like, that is not anywhere near as impactful as a piece of horror media that leaves you scared at the end also, right? Like,
dude, I'm not sure this is like a horror manga though. Like, from what you describe, it's just like I
don't know.
An SCP thing or something. I don't know what it is actually.
Then the issue is with chapter 1 and setting my expectations for what it is, because chapter 1 is straight up. I mean, it is that kind of weird Japanese horror, so it's a little bit different than it's like the straight up kind of Western horror we get, but. Like, chapter 1 is a horror chapter, and it is more horror towards the beginning, and it slowly moves away into the sort of B movie, action schlock horror.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Shibatarian is a weird series, man.
So it seems like you have an issue with those thousands of deaths. Describe them. Like, what happened to these people? Most
of them taken over by Shibata. Like, at some point, he enslaves, from what I understand, all of Japan, most of Tokyo, like. A million people, like a lot of fucking people.
So you're saying Tokyo is just fucking dead?
No, because they like defeat him in the end. All the people turn back, right? But like,
okay.
But like in the middle of that, the like army comes in and like floods the streets with seawater and kills they kill a bunch of them by throwing seawater on them or salt water, and they shoot. The army has guns. They just shoot a bunch of them. I don't know if that means they're dead or not. But like, like they're like creatures. They're like worm creatures with Shibata's face on them. Like, this is not just like, oh, he just takes possession of people. It's like, no, there's like weird shit, like creature horror stuff in there.
That sounds kind of awesome a little bit. I'm like into this like mass possession storyline. It's kind of like Evil Dead in a way. I'll give it a crack. I'll see if I'll see know. With the expectation that it gets silly. Maybe it's like it turns into an Evil Dead 2 situation where I end up enjoying it because I don't expect it to be a horror movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I guess maybe the big problem I have is that it takes itself too seriously every step of the way. It isn't like having fun by like embracing these B horror schlock. It's like trying to be serious and it comes across as B movie schlock. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm done talking about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
It sounds like it's not great. I think that's also the consensus.
I will say that it is different than anything I've ever read. It is interesting. If you're like, I'm tired of reading the same shonen stuff over and over again, or all I read is shoujo josei, like, yeah, read this. It'll be different. And maybe that is what you need right now. So,
yeah, I like different things. I'll give it a crack.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Cool.
I'll bring this my one more thing whenever I get around to reading it.
I would love to have a deep dive discussion on
about what happened in Shibatarian.
Just 2 hours of like, what the fuck was that, man? All right, cool. Actually, a lot of manga news here, as long as we're done talking manga of the week, which I think we are.
Yeah.
We got lots of news. We got Netflix Geek Week is going on right now. That's mostly stuff kind of about anime, but some of the stuff is adaptations. For instance, we got a new Sakamoto Days trailer. We got some One Piece stuff we're going to talk about at the end of news. Some other trailers we got a Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity anime trailer is out. People are excited for that one. That's a pretty popular romance series.
Dude, I think real quick, let's stop on that one real quick.
Yeah.
I really think that manga's rep got ruined in the West by someone pointing out how much they apologize. And then everyone started noticing it. I think it just collectively ruined that manga for people.
You brought this, I want to say like last year, maybe when you started reading this and
I liked it.
And you were like, this is good. And then I think you brought it again earlier this year and we're like, they just apologize and I can't take it anymore. I think maybe you read that comment and it ruined your brain also.
Yeah, it ruined everyone's brain because I didn't notice and it's just right. You know, it's like one of those things that like you point out about someone else and it's like, oh yeah, they do that a lot. You know?
Yeah.
It's fucked up. I could have gone on enjoying that manga if I did not notice how much they apologized to one another.
It's funny because I went, on Twitter and on Reddit and was like, well, I'll read the comments for this. 60% of the comments in there were like, apologies, the anime. It's here. Literally all of it, the majority of the comments were about these. Oh, great. We can watch these two apologize in an anime now instead of on the manga page. Like that is the majority of comments. So
whoever the fucker that noticed that first is, you ruined a manga for the masses.
A ton of people apparently. But I think that's a popular one. I think that'll be a pretty popular anime when it airs.
Yeah.
Some sort of manga series stuff. We got Magical Girl Tsubame, which is a Jump Plus series by the author of whatever that series was. That's going to end. That's going to end next week with chapter 42. That was also a weird one. I don't know how many chapters you made it into that, Gautam. I made it maybe 8 chapters, and I was like, this is weird.
I was actually wondering where that's the one where like they smile creepy and there's the skies.
The skies hearts and one girl is like a robot magical girl. Maybe they all are. I don't know.
I was wondering what happened to that. I forgot what it was called instantly after we covered it.
Yeah, it made it almost a year. I mean, it made it about the same as Shibatarian, but
okay, that was kind of unique and interesting. I wonder how it turned out.
Yeah, I don't know. The people were talking about it. They were like, "Oh, we don't really know if this is an axe or if it was meant to end here." I try to check comments on it occasionally. It seems weird. I don't know. Jump Plus is full of weird stuff from last year, I think. So,
you know what? I say go for it. Keep being weird. Yeah. I like more unique things. It reminded me of Madoka Magica a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Like a weirder take on that.
Yeah, exactly.
The word of the week is weird. Let's see. We got Jujutsu Kaisen is revealing latest news in Weekly Shonen Jump number 44, which I think is next week. Or in a week from when you're listening to this, maybe next Sunday. It's interesting because usually the last chapter of a manga will get like a color page or a cover. I think Jujutsu Kaisen is getting neither of those, is what I heard some reporting on, which makes me think, and some other people on Twitter, that potentially we're going to get Jujutsu Kaisen 2 or some kind of follow-up sequel or some kind of, after story something. From what I understand, the story is not Like they were fighting like 2 or 3 chapters ago. They were like still in combat. So
So it's not. It has like another volume or so. Is what you're thinking.
it has another volume or it has a Shippuden. One of those.
I don't know. Like, do you think they do? I don't know enough about Jujutsu Kaisen to know if it has the legs to have a Shippuden.
Like real writing legs, probably not. Fan power behind it, absolutely yes. So
No, I mean like plot legs. They
oh yeah,
Gojo.
I don't know. Yeah, I assume that they're going to kill the bad guy, and then where do they go from there? I'm not sure. But like again, you could introduce a new bad guy, and people understand the magic system and the characters, and so I don't know. Maybe.
Do you think that what I said was a big spoiler that we should omit, or do you think everyone knows
that the bad guy that they introduced been the main bad guy of the entire series
that they killed Gojo?
Oh, fuck it. It's
fuck it, right? Like everyone knows. It's all over the internet.
I learned about that when everybody else saw the spoilers on Twitter. If you're a part of manga Twitter, you know that's happened.
Yeah.
But they brought him back. No, they brought somebody else back. I won't spoil that. Anyways, I wrote like some people think this is a continuation. It could be a pachinko machine. You know Japan when they say they have a big announcement. It could be
a popularity.
It could be a pop-up cafe or popularity poll, or it could literally be Jujutsu Kaisen 2. Like it is impossible to tell with Japan.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. We got some new volumes coming out in English I wanted to give a shout out to because I think that they're a really good series we don't talk about too much. Destroy All Humans, They Can't Be Regenerated. That's coming out pretty soon in October here in about 3 or 4 weeks. And then Tank Chair Volume 1 is also out in English. That's out right now. That's a good one. I want to go back and catch up with that one because that one...
We talked about that. Is it on K-Manga? Like where did it go?
It is on K-Manga now, yeah, but it's in physical volume. So yeah, another one sent to die at the K-Manga galas. So
yeah,
but that was a really strong first. Yeah, when the fans were translating that, I thought it was a really strong series. So I'm curious to go back and check on it.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. All right, let's talk One Piece live action news. We have a full. In case you're curious and you happen to like our commentary, which I know that there's maybe 5 people out there who do, we do have a full sort of breakdown of deep dive into the season 1 of One Piece live action. We're both huge One Piece fans. I've got Luffy on my wall now, as you can see. So yeah, we do sort of 2 episodes at a time. There's 4 episodes total. We talk about it. We're both. I was very high on it, very surprised by how good it was because we were kind of expecting it to be okay, but not great. But I thought it was really pretty fantastic in almost every way. So
I thought it was pretty good, and that defied all expectations for me because I thought it would be terrible.
Absolutely.
By all means, I didn't think it would work,
and somehow it did in almost every way. I would say.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So we got sort of final casting announcements. We talked about the other casting announcements here. We have Joe Manganiello as Mr. Zero and Lyra Abova as Miss All Sunday. So this is
perfect.
This is Crocodile and Nico Robin. Minor. I don't even know if it's spoilers. Don't they immediately tell you who they are? I don't know.
I don't think so, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because this is a part of consciousness in the anime and manga series that like you see that character and you're like, Miss All Sunday. It's, no.
And I think who cares if their name is Miss All Sunday or Mr. Zero? Like Nico Robin means nothing to you within the context of the story at this point anyway.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, she looks perfect. He looks perfect.
Yeah,
they look great for their roles.
She's Russian, which is cool. I saw there's a little bit of these two on stage, kind of getting their introductions by Matt Owens. I think is his name. Is like kind of the showrunner on One Piece live action. I'm excited because I think that Joe is like I don't want to be insulting, but he's like a pretty substantial B tier star. He's, I would say, the biggest star that has been in One Piece live action so far. Probably by a lot. Like, because the other people have had small roles. Like Makanyu is pretty popular in Japan, but outside of Japan, doesn't have that much of a pull. Makanyu is Zoro's actor.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, he's a Japanese actor he's decently popular. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but generally they've cast sort of like mostly unknown people or smaller kind of TV character actor stuff. But Joe, and then I think, who's the guy who's going to play the wax guy?
The polka dot man.
David Dalmatian, I think that's his name. They're sort of like big, like decently big names. Like people know who these people are.
Yeah, and I'm David something.
David
like
D. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, I don't know either. Every movie he's in, he's been great. He's like
he kills it. Yeah,
I mean, he's a standout in this very niche type of role he always plays.
Yeah, he was. You're right. He was great in Suicide Squad as Mr. Polka Dot. The horror movie that he did that came out earlier this year got, I think.
Oh yeah, the Interview type one, right?
Yeah, people said that. I don't know if they necessarily liked the movie. They said that he was really good in it. So I mean, he's a good actor. I think he'll have a lot of fun. Lyra Abova, I liked. She had good presence on stage. She's the right age generally. I mean, not that age is super important. She's like 31, I think. She's like a little bit older than like the Luffy's actor. I think now is like maybe 22 or 23. McAnew's like 25. I think Nami and now Robin are like the two oldest people on the crew. I think everybody else is younger than them.
It works. They like in One Piece they act like the oldest. I guess like they have the most maturity in the crew.
Yeah, Robin definitely is the mom of the group. So So I'm trying to remember. Robin will be in a bit of season 2. Season 2 is going to essentially end with Drum Island, I believe.
Yeah, if it ends with Drum Island, I can only see like maybe they have like one episode worth of like a sneak peeks to the character because they're all Alabasta characters primarily.
But okay, doesn't Robin join their crew during some of the stuff before Alabasta, or am I?
No,
it's after Alabasta before.
After.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. She has a bigger piece of the pie in Alabasta. We'll see Mr. Zero in over like phone calls in season 2, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think they're going to have, my guess is that they're going to be given a slightly bigger role in season 2 to build them up for season 3 where we'll have Alabasta.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think the rumors that I've heard is that, I mean, Buggy is going to still like be around because people love that guy so much. And I did too. I thought he was great in the live action series.
Yeah, he was hilarious.
And I think he's going to be the one kind of interacting and like meeting up with Croc and Robin, and Croc's going to tell him to do stuff, and maybe he'll go interact with Straw Hats again or something. So that's my guess, is that they are in the background. I hope
they don't give him too much time though, because I think Buggy is a character that works so well because we see him kind of sparingly.
Yeah.
So I hope we get like enough separation from Buggy where he's not in like every episode.
Yeah. I think so. I do not think he will be a like B plot. I think the B plot will still be the Marines in this one.
Yeah.
And potentially, I think Ace is supposed to show up in this season, maybe. They have not announced casting for that. I don't know if they will or not. He might not be until season 3. I don't remember when Ace shows up.
It would make sense. He shows up in Alabasta, so
yeah,
sure.
Okay. Yeah, they haven't announced it, so maybe he's not in this one. But who knows? But yeah, I think this is good casting.
Wax Guy is in a lot of like Little Garden, so
yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I mean that's a good fight, and they've cast they've cast Dorian Bragi and a bunch of other stuff. But the big reveal is at the end of a little 2-minute teaser they gave. We got Tony Chopper, the first picture we have of a 3D rendered Chopper.
I love how it looks. I don't know.
I mean,
every single time we talked about Chopper live action, I said there's no possible way I can imagine this working. I can't even perceive it in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
This looks good. It's like a Detective Pikachu style. I think that's the best.
Yeah, I definitely think like Detective Pikachu, the Sonic movie, Grogu. Those are all kind of things where I was like, that's Sonic movie and Detective Pikachu definitely are the kind of like thing they're going to go for. I would imagine. Yeah, this is about as good as I think you can do. Like, I will admit, of all the things in One Piece, Tony Chopper might be, as we have said in the past, the most difficult thing to adapt to live action. I think this is about as good as you're going to get right here.
Do you think? What do you think are the chances that they go with the original Chopper design from when he was introduced?
No, this looks. I mean, this is his like original hat design, right? Like this isn't the new sort of like rounded head that he has. So that is like his original hat style.
But like that slightly chubby, like slightly less cute looking Chopper, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't.
Because Chopper used to look like Fat Pikachu a little bit.
Yeah, let me like. How do I?
And then he turned into regular Pikachu. That is what happened to Chopper.
Yeah, like this is somebody made this render right like forever ago.
I don't like looking at that.
No, this is a little too cute, I think, but. It's like other than the sort of maybe too cute face, the face looks like I don't even know, like a dog's, like a puppy's face, right? Like I don't think it'll be quite that cute. I think it'll be a little bit more expressive.
Type in old Chopper versus new Chopper.
Okay. Yeah, like I see what you're saying. Like he's a little bit more of like a deer man.
That third picture, that third picture actually like is the real comparison.
Yeah, he has like more of a snout, I guess.
Yeah, he was more of a deer, and he was more chubby and weird looking.
And then here he's just like cute. My guess is that his face will be more like New Chopper, if we're being honest. I think they will lean more into like less snout, more cute face than like this weird stuff.
That weird little guy.
Yeah, I think the bottom left is going to be what he's going to look like, if I had to imagine.
I don't know why, but I miss the weird little fella that he used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Chopper's intro arc, and I really like all his stuff through like Water 7 and Ines Lobby, like with the Rumble Balls. Like, I think those are cool. Like when he uses when he does the Rumble Ball stuff in, I think that's in Water 7, right? He like loses control and they have to fight him. Like that's a cool.
Oh yeah.
That's a cool moment.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment.
Yeah, and I guess we'll get to see him use at least one Rumble Ball in Drum Island, right?
I don't remember.
I think he does. I think he uses one to fight somebody, but I don't remember.
Yeah, the mouth guy. Forgetting his name.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what he actually looks like.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's it for news, I think. Be interesting if they announce a casting for who's voicing or doing motion capture for Chopper, but...
So what are all those bottles? Is that like, is he getting hammered out
This is, the video that they showed this at the end of was a table read of all of season 2, I believe. So,
oh, okay.
This is their, like a shot, like, he was at the table read reading his part, which he wasn't, but.
Oh, that's cute. Okay.
I think it's supposed to be a cute thing like that, but yeah, so you always have water and do table reads and stuff. So, yep.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right, let's talk one more things. And you forgot to give me one, Gautam, but you can bring up whatever you want.
Oh, never mind.
No worries. You'll get to it. This is a new series on Jump Plus that I read. I wanted to call it out because I don't think I'm going to call it out again. It's called Hero Organization. It's about a dad in space with a son. His son is like super good at a video game that is like training you to be like a Gundam pilot. And then at the end, he becomes a Gundam pilot, but his normal job is like he builds these like basic like not the cool Gundams, like the basic Gundams, like not even Gundams, like the basic robots that like are fodder most of the time. He like builds those robots.
The kid is the Gundam pilot?
No, so that's the thing is the kid is a really good video game pilot, and everyone's like, we're gonna recruit you, you're gonna be a great pilot someday. And the dad is like a loser, like construction guy, basically, right? Like he builds these. The one you see in the background is like the generic like fodder robot, right? That he builds for the Space Force. He just builds them, and he's like, not like a failure dad, but he's very like, oh, I don't have self-confidence. I just need to support my son, blah, blah, blah. And then by the end, he sort of like joins up and they send him to space and he's going to pilot a robot. And what kind of robot is he going to pilot? Oh, it's the one he's been building for 15 years or whatever. So he knows all the ins and outs of it. Cool robot design. It
looks sick, yeah.
Pretty generic story, in my opinion. Very kind of like, you can do it if you really try.
To do it?
The kid is like an encouragement for his dad, like more mature than his father, whose father's like, oh, like they offer to like, there's like a test that you take to become a pilot and go to space and do that thing. And dad's like, oh, I can't leave my son. There's no way I would make it. I'll never be a pilot. It's not who I am. And his son has to be like, Dad, go take the fucking test. Like it's fine. Go take it. You can do it. He's like, no, if I get shipped away, I'll be gone for a year. And you'd have to stay with your caring grandmother and aunt who live very close and who would not disrupt your life at all.
The kid's like, I play 12 hours of League of Legends every day, Dad. I don't need you around.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
I'm a pro gamer.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, cool visual designs didn't really strike a chord with me with characters or storytelling. I might check out chapter 2. I think it comes out tomorrow. Didn't super drive me, but I thought it was interesting. I mean, definitely give it a check. It's just one chapter out now. Probably 2 by the time you're watching this, but yeah, who knows?
That is a sick robot design. I might read it.
It is a very cool robot design. All the robots are very cool. So that's in a mech. If you don't have cool designed robots, you're starting on the back foot. So
yeah, exactly. I also like the non-humanoid looking designs like this. I mean, it's humanoid, but like its face looks like a dinosaur or whatever. Yeah,
it isn't just a Gundam, which is like what most robots are. It's a little bit different. But yeah, cool. So tell me, what's your one more thing, Gautam? I don't have a picture of it, but what?
Yeah. No worries. That's what I was mentioning. Loop Hero. I was playing Loop Hero.
Oh yeah.
It's an interesting game. It's going off Game Pass, by the way, in 10 days. So if you guys
I own it. I
played
got paid for it, but yeah.
yeah, it's like a I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's an insanely unique game, and there's nothing else like it. And it is a pretty fun roguelike, but I think the roguelike parts of it aren't that great. Like the base building kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The progression kind of sucks, but the core gameplay and art is all very unique and cool. I think it's very worth a play, but it's like a flawed little weird gem.
Yeah,
the word of the day is weird today. Yeah.
Yeah, it is just weird. It's a weird day, I guess. I do really like. I really like the loop of Loop Hero, like when you're in the game, like fighting stuff and getting gear, like that's really great. And then everything outside of it is kind of like, I don't care. Like this isn't very good.
I think roguelikes have to make you feel like you have a chance even without the meta progression aspect of it. That's like what a good roguelike does. And I guess not a lot do it. Like Gungeon does it, but Loop Hero.
Yeah, and Hades is great at that and stuff. But yeah,
Loop Hero feels like the biggest. It's impossible to do this in on your first run type of roguelike.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very curious, and I said this to you earlier, but like I'm very curious of what Loop Hero 2 looks like, because I think if they clean this game up, it'll be like, it could be one of those like, I sunk 80 hours into this game. It's all I played for 2 weeks. Like, because I sunk a good like 6 or 8 into it really fast and was like, hell yeah, this is fun. And then sort of like, okay, I don't want to do another run because I have to do a lot of runs to do anything now. So
I think so I have like 10 hours or 12 hours in it. And the problem is for the first 10 hours, I'm like, I am not close to solving this. And by hour 11, I'm like, I've solved this.
Yeah.
Which is a weirdly abrupt feeling, because now I can consistently just win. And it's I don't know. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, it's just a weird feeling either way.
Yeah. I guess one more thing is we went to go see the Dan to Dan premiere. Did we talk about this last week? I don't even remember. When did we record?
We said we were going to, but we did.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
We did see it since then. Yeah.
It's awesome. It is also also weird in the best way. I love Dan to Dan. We talk about it a lot on the pod. The anime was awesome. I wish we had gotten to see until the end of the Turbo Granny arc, but that just is because what we saw was so good.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a good time that I didn't even notice how long we were in there. And I'm like, okay, now we're getting into the shit. And then it ended. And then the lights came back on. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. What?
I think that actually my favorite part of it was there was like almost 30 minutes of like pre-show like interview with the director of the show, the author of the show, and the editor, the Yukinobu Tatsu, the author of Dan to Dan, and his editor, Shihei Lin, who I mentioned earlier. And from those interviews that I saw, I am more and more convinced that Shihei Lin is like a god tier storyteller, and that if you like, he guides stories to be more successful than they would be without him. Like everything that they're talking, like that Tatsu was talking about with him, with like, oh, I'd have this idea, and then Lin would tell me to do this or that, or try that and do this thing. And I'm like, all of those are great ideas, and they made it in and they made it better. Shihei Lin is a powerhouse. I respect that man infinitely more after those interviews.
That 30 minutes was like a boring segment to, I think, most people, but it's like specifically made for us who is looking for more insight into the manga making process.
Yeah.
And I think Shihei Lin is it's obtuse and mysterious how the editors do their job and what they even do. If this is how all editors work, then they're doing a good job. But either way, it's good marketing. Him existing is good marketing for the Jump editing team. Yeah,
you slap his name. I mean, they slapped his name on, I want to say maybe he did Kindergarten Wars or maybe something else more recently. But yeah,
he did Spy in Kindergarten.
Wait, what?
So, I think like when I started seeing his name was when he did Spy X Family and then Kindergarten Wars after that.
Yeah.
And Sakamoto. He did Sakamoto.
Yeah, he did Sakamoto too. Yeah, because there was a time where it was like, from the guy who found Chainsaw Man and Spy Family, and immediately two of the biggest manga hits of the past like 6 or 7 years. So yeah. He's a talent, and those interviews are really interesting. I wasn't super interested in the voice acting stuff, but even that was cool. So
yeah, even that was cool, and the voice actors kind of resemble their characters, which is a little funny.
Yeah, the girl I thought was totally different, which was even cooler to see her like really knock it out of the park as Momo.
Yeah, she seemed more reserved. You're
She's
right.
like super reserved, super nice. But then when she was like doing Momo, so I was like, yeah, Momo's perfect. Like they're both perfect. So
the guy looked just like Okurin.
yeah,
and he was also different. He was like very confident, but I like that he played Okurin so erratically. It was different than my interpretation of the character, but it worked better than how I imagined this character to like speak.
Yeah, it's super good though. The opening I think is awesome. If you have not gone and seen I guess they're leaks. I don't know. They're everywhere now. Like if you haven't seen the opening of Dan to Dan, it's awesome. It's the same guy who did the Bling Bang Bang Born. It's that group, Creepy Nuts. So
yeah, that was great. And yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing more.
it was good. Yeah, I wanted to call it out because I don't know if we talk about it again, and we did that last weekend. So yeah, it was super good. I'm super excited to watch it when it actually comes out. So
yeah, me too. I want to see how they do the Turbo Granny fight.
I know I have to see the finish of that. So
yeah.
Cool. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Let's get out of here then. Hey, thanks again, everyone, for listening or watching. Don't forget to leave us feedback, comments, upvote, thumbs up, all that jazz. Check out Twitter, Patreon, of course, link in the description. Thanks again for being with us yet again this week.
Catch you later.
And don't forget to read more manga.